defensive playbook on some of these elite players that you're guarding? I know you saw a lot of them last year, but kind of another crack at Giannis last night.
That was my first time guarding Giannis, so that was new. I don't know. I think a lot of things is just playing hard and figuring out. We've gone against Dame a couple times, so I'm not gonna say like you know what he's gonna do, but you just have a better feel for it. But yeah, it was fun to compete against Giannis yesterday for sure.
The kind of humility that you probably have to have. I know Lou has talked about this as well. Of like, these guys are going to make great plays. They're going to dunk. They're going to do stuff. How do you approach that? Understanding that, but still trying to do the best job you can.
Yeah, that's kind of like the first step is like understanding that it's the NBA. Like guys work on making tough shots or tough plays, and it's just kind of something you have to live with. The biggest thing that me and Lou talk about is just eliminating the easy ones. You don't want to give Dame open looks, for example, to start the game and have him feel comfortable. Kind of same thing in Giannis, just kind of being physical from the get-go. And then from there on out, it's just kind of just playing hard. And you got to live with some tough ones. We hit tough ones too, so it's just how the game is.
We talk all the time about the way you guys play and the versatility and 5 guys who can put it on the floor and pass it, all that sort of stuff. But that only works if guys who could have the ball a lot more are willing to play without it. What's the process of guys coming to that realization and buying into it?
I think everybody wants to win. Obviously it's preseason, so really trying to build those habits now is, kind of essential for us to get going. But everybody trusts one another to kind of have the ball, and I think everybody's looking for each other, which makes everybody want to play off the ball more. So I think we have a lot of guys that are comfortable off the ball too.
How do you develop the skill of being good off the ball? Everybody knows what it takes to be good with the ball in your hands, right? What makes you good playing off?
I think that just goes down to who has the ball, and then kind of being comfortable reading what's going on within the offense. I think just for like me personally, like if Josh has the ball in certain areas of the floor, I kind of know where I want to be at. Playing a lot of games with him last year, and then kind of same thing with Shea, and we're still trying to figure out Chet as well, who can be on the ball. So it's a fun process. I think everybody likes scoring, and that's kind of an easy way to kind of steal buckets and do that whole thing. But we have an unselfish team, and we have a lot of willing passers, so it makes it very easy to just kind of flow.
Does this feel like, I don't know if modern is the word, but is it a fun way to play? Does it feel really like a new thing to have this many guys who can do this?
Yeah, for sure. I don't think a lot of teams in the NBA have that, where we can kind of pick and choose throughout our starting 5 or whoever's in the game to kind of bring the ball up and handle. So I think it makes us play faster as well. So I think everybody's kind of enjoying that part of it right now.
Make it a little more random, harder to guard, you think, theoretically?
Yeah, I think we just have so much other stuff we can kind of get into. And then, like I said, I think everybody's really comfortable playing off the ball. So I think it allows for us to kind of just flow.
We were talking to Mark yesterday, and he said that you're making quicker decisions out there on the floor offensively. How much are you feeling that, and just what went into kind of you being able to make those quicker decisions out there?
I think just getting comfortable with the NBA. Yeah, I think I feel it a little bit just because I'm more comfortable with my positioning and like where I'm going to be at on the court. I think just our 5 that's out there on a consistent basis has been really good, so it makes it easier on me to kind of, be wherever at on the court. I think a lot of it's just comfortability. I think having a year under your belt, and I think as many reps as I got last year really kind of helped out.
You mentioned how you and Josh are on the same page now, kind of where he kind of knows where you want to be. You have another pass-first kind of guy in Vasa. How long does it typically take for like 2 guys to understand whether like the basketball and kind of how to get in rhythm?
I think it comes in levels. Vasa's a really good passer, so that automatically makes the game really easy. It really doesn't have anything to do with me. I'm just kind of running around. But I think just more years and times you have under your belt, I think it just honestly gets better and better. But yeah, it's a pretty quick transition. I think he's already kind of bought into what we want to do, which makes it even easier.
How close was it to catch that lob?
I didn't think he was going to throw it at first, and I kind of snuck behind the baseline. But I only have a couple lobs, so that was cool. And he threw it from far, so.
When you're guarding these bigger players like Victor, like Giannis, outside of just straight up physicality, what are some of the things mentally that you have to kind of be aware of with these guys?
Getting dunked on. But other than that, I think a lot of it is just physicality and just willing to kind of compete. I think just understanding that, like I said, they're going to hit tough shots and make good plays. But just kind of buying into the system. A lot of guys, you want to try and eat up a lot of their space and kind of go from there. But, yeah, just kind of understanding they're going to make good plays, and I understand I'm going to make good plays as well. So kind of having that as like a counterbalance, I think has really helped out.
Play last night as the roll man, and you kicked it to Isaiah. Can you kind of just take me through that play and how that unfolded from your perspective?
Yeah, I work a lot on rolling after my pick, so I just roll and like just saw the low man was down there, and I saw Zay open too, so I just pass it. Just read the defense.
Yeah, do you feel like your ability to read it quickly has just improved immensely over the last 12 months or so?
Yeah, I feel like I was able to read the defense, but like reading on the roll, like as a big man, like as a roller, yeah, I feel like I improved on that.
I don't know if you were technically the 5 last night, but you were the tallest guy on the floor for long stretches. What does that feel like for you out there?
I feel weird, like I wasn't used to play that role, but like I enjoy it, like I embrace it, and yeah, I just try to improve day by day.
What's it like having so many versatile guys out there? You, Olivier, Chet, all these guys who can space the floor and also be great facilitators out there too.
I mean, that's really good. Like I feel like everybody can do everything, so it's just make the game easy. Like we know, like everybody can pass the ball, everybody can create something. So yeah, it just make the game easy.
What have you thought of the pace that you guys have played with offensively? If it seems like it's been going really fast, getting out in transition on offense.
Yeah, I think we play with a good pace. Like we were moving the ball side to side in transition. So I think we made a lot of assists yesterday. So that was pretty good. Like we play with good pace.
Coach talked about against Charlotte, he didn't think you played like physically enough. He wanted you to kind of adjust that, and he said he course corrected it. You fixed it last night. Is that harder for you to come to than some of the playmaking stuff, just playing physically?
I won't say harder. I don't know. Just gotta think about it every game. I feel like yesterday was better than Charlotte, and yeah, just gotta keep doing that.
Are you more comfortable as a guy with the ball and doing some of the creative things you're able to do?
I feel like I'm more comfortable with the ball, but like I'm trying to improve on that too. Like play without the ball and like keep creating without the ball. So that's something I'm working on, and I feel better.
Have you always liked passing?
You said what?
Have you always liked passing?
Yeah. Younger, I was playing point guard a little bit, so yeah, I always like passing the ball.
Mark, you guys get a chance to play Detroit. Just real quick again, I know that this is something that happens during the regular season too. Is there anything additional that you might get out of this with it being in the preseason that you can experiment more with maybe?
Yeah, I think there's stuff we can clean up from the last time we played them, and then assuming all their guys play too, we'll get a different look at personnel, and then we play them early in the season. So looking forward to it.
Booz had a play last night where he was the roll man and then kind of in one smooth motion kicked it back out to Isaiah. Can you put into perspective whether that's something that he's kind of always had in his game, or if that's an evolution over the last 12 months?
Well, the guards rolling is critical to our offense with the way that we operate, and their natural tendency is not to roll. It's not something they're used to doing, but it creates a lot of space when they do. And he had back-to-back plays where we got 2 threes off of his rolls. The first one was the one you're referring to, which is we hit him in the pocket and he threw it to Isaiah. And then there was another one where he rolled hard, drew the help, and I think it was Micic threw it to Lindy, and Lindy hit a 3. So it's a critical skill for everybody inside of our offense. We use a lot of guard-to-guard screening. We sometimes slide out of them and go to the perimeter. Sometimes we roll. But it's especially important for a guy like him because he's a big target and he's a good decision maker once he gets below the defense.
You've played him as the biggest guy on the floor for you all. How's he kind of taken to that? I don't know if it's a responsibility to be the biggest guy on the floor, but just that role.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to, as we did last year, look at a lot of different ways to try to keep our opponents off balance. He's a skilled player, keeps the ball moving side to side. He's got height. He's got to translate that to rim protection and rebounding, but he's improved in those areas. So that's something obviously we're interested in looking at. We did it last night.
You've talked about guys finding their, who they are individually as players and then making that fit together. Where is he in the process of just figuring out what he's best at, how he helps you the most?
Still early. I think he's a pretty toolsy player. He's got great tools, and then it's just a matter of churning those into impact on the court. And he's year over year improved greatly at that. There's going to be ups and downs in that process, but if you look at where he was a year ago, he's a significantly more impactful player. But learning to leverage his agility defensively, his length defensively, his height around the basket in terms of shot contesting at the basket and rebounding at the basket. And then offensively, he's a really good advantage player. And it's just a matter of him learning how to utilize the offense to create those advantages. Rolling is a great example. It's not a traditional way that you think about advantage creation, but if he can get below the defense, sometimes catch the ball, sometimes empty back out and be a secondary playmaker, that'll leverage his tools.
Olivier got some good run yesterday. Just what did you take away from what you saw from him?
Nothing surprising. Good player. Great height and rim protection. He's got good defensive range, as I mentioned last night. He covers a lot of ground because of how big he is, but he's also very mobile. Executes the coverages. Physical at the basket. He's got just really good rim skills on both ends of the floor. Offensive rebounding, defensive rebounding, rim contesting, rolling, which is helpful to teams. So going to continue to put him out there, but he's done this in the past. I mean, we put him in some big situations down the stretch last year. We trust him.
And there was a play offensively where Chet had a backdoor cut. He hit him for that backdoor cut. Just his ability to kind of see the floor and facilitate. Is that something that you always knew he kind of had?
Maybe not always, but it's something he's displayed before. I mean, last year we put him in that Clipper game and they were playing Shea really high and he was in the pocket and made some great passes out of those pocket situations. So, got a good feel for the game. He's a skilled player.
And with Bertans, every time you've put him in the game, just immediately, right? Yeah, very quickly. We know that he can shoot the ball really well, but since he's been in this building, have you noticed anything about why or what would make him so immediately effective when he gets out there like that?
Yeah, I think he's a really, really good mover. As simple as that is. Joe's like that, Lindy's like that. Those guys just are great at moving to space. They recognize the space on the floor. And they move there hard, and it just creates confusion for the defense. It leverages their gravity. They help us on plays where they're not open because they're occupying a defender that's on high alert. And then they obviously, if they do that enough with a relentlessness, they're going to find shots, and that's what he does. And he's a guy, he's made a name for himself in the league doing what he does, and so he's got great confidence in it. Yeah. And he's less. It's interesting watching him. He's like less attached to the last make or miss, which I think is just perspective and experience. He's going to shoot the next one. He's seen enough go in. He's seen enough miss to know kind of what it is. And he's a very process oriented player. You know exactly what you're getting. And I was joking. He's a great team guy, which I think is important because he'll rip some shots. And if the guys hated him, then, they would have less tolerance for some of the ones he rips off, but they love him. So, when he shoots them, it's Davis being Davis.
Right. When you call it, sorry, go ahead.
Adrian Griffin said something last night I thought was really interesting about his time here and about Billy Donovan being a guy who was not as intense as some of the guys he had coached under, and that showing him that you could be maybe not a yeller and a screamer and still be more your authentic self and still communicate in that way. And I wondered, was that your experience? Do you relate to that? You don't seem like a big yeller.
Yeah, I think it's just we all have a responsibility to maximize the team, and there's just a lot of different ways to do that, and every team's different. Every team requires something a little bit different. So I think you could take the same coach and put them with different teams, and they might have to adapt a little bit based on who they're coaching and, the circumstances around that team. So I think you start there. It's more about what does the team need and what do you need to do to maximize the group and make the whole better than the sum of the parts. And then you have to execute that just like a player has to execute a coverage. And there's a lot of different ways to do that, and, I try to do it the way I try to do it, and every coach is different, but at the end of the day, we're all trying to accomplish the same thing, which is to maximize our teams.
When you called out the play, did you know that Vasa was going to throw the lob from midcourt to J-Dub?
No. They were mismatched. I mean, that's a great Ouse anecdote, though. I think I'm almost positive we were small on that play, and Lopez was kind of lost on the play. I think they just were mismatched because there was no traditional center on the floor. I'm almost positive. You could check that, but I just think that's a subtle. If that was the case, which I'm almost certain it is, that's a subtlety of that. Is just you go small in the flow of the game. The game's moving fast. Next thing you know, they're coming down in transition. and they don't have a matchup, and Dubs at the rim dunking the ball.
Is there any Poku rehab update?
He's progressing. He's on his feet. He's on the court. He's made good progress. He's accelerated faster than we might have anticipated. We didn't put a firm timeline on it, but he's doing a nice job. He's coming along.